In 1993's Jurassic Park, John Hammond faces a serious problem. The people who are investing their money into his experimental park are concerned with its safety after a series of fatal accidents. To persuade them that everything's fine, he hired a paleontologist by the name of Alan Grant and a paleobotanist by the name of Ellie Sattler, while a lawyer who represents his investors brings in a chaotician named Ian Malcolm. 3 opposing viewpoints. After everything literally goes to hell, our main characters all come to a singular conclusion about John Hammond's park.
After careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse your park.
Now fast forward 30 years later, and history repeats itself in a similar way. Mattel faces a similar dilemma, only instead of convincing people to invest in a dangerous experimental park, they asked fans to back a Jurassic Park project that was all over the place. And after 30 days, the fans gave Mattel their answer. After careful consideration, we decided not to back your project.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hello everyone, I am Shane from Crystal Clear 101 and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, that Jurassic Park crowdfunder that Mattel tried to push for about 30 days, yeah, that ended up being an embarrassing failure for Mattel. Here's what I find interesting about it. As far as crowdfunders between Mattel and Hasbro go, both of which are billion-dollar companies, by the way, neither one of which should even have a crowdfunding division. Honestly, they should just make the product, release it for mass retail, and just let the market dictate what happens to the product. I mean, if it sells, great. If it don't, oh well. These companies need to learn. However, what I find interesting about the Gate situation is that it managed to pull in more backers than the Obi-Wan Kenobi Reva lightsaber from last year. It drew in barely more backers than that, but when compared to the Marvel Legends Engine of Vengeance HasLab, it was far short of that. The Reva lightsaber needed 5,000 backers, if I remember. I believe the Engine of Vengeance needed I can't remember, 8,000, 9,000 backers. I can't remember right offhand. But, I mean, just the fact that these gates only managed to get a meager 1,632 out of 5,000 backers is embarrassing. And, you know, this isn't something like, you know, from a character that, you know, it's gonna, you know, repulse a lot of fans. This is from a well-beloved movie. I mean, the fact that Mattel, you know, botched this up this much is just mind-boggling for me. And for those who are not as familiar with the Jurassic Park Gate crowdfunder Mattel was pushing, if you're wondering how did they botch that up badly, well, I'll tell you what. I have my phone right here. I have the page itself brought up, and if you want, I will have screenshots of what I'm looking at right over here on the screen. That way you can see what I'm seeing. And I am going to read the description of it and go over it bit by bit. And I will explain to you on each bit where they screwed up. Alright, with that being said, I am going to read as it's stated on the Mattel Creations website, on the actual page for it. But it reads, and I quote, "We're celebrating Jurassic Park's 30th anniversary with an awe-inspiring crowdfund. It starts with the enormous fan-demanded motorized entry gates and a first ever Ford Explorer number 5. No expense has been spared on recreating the details, and the collector level execution extends to all the extras you can unlock from each tier. Say the magic word, fund all the extras, and return with us to a time when dinosaurs ruled the earth. And then their bullet points include Jurassic World Hammond Collection, The Gates. The gates are 20.7 inches high, 22.8 inches wide, and 12.1 inches in depth. What I find funny is most companies, especially if it's here in the United States, not only will they put it in inches and feet, they'll also, in parentheses, put it in the metric system. And considering this got expanded to a foreign market as well, I'm surprised they didn't put metric measurements in here as well. Anyway, gates require 4 AA batteries, not included, 2 enclosure fences, 9.0 inches high, 14.8 inches wide on each one, authentically scaled to all Hammond Collection figures, accurately sculpted down to each crack and crevice, motorized door gates with manual override to display the gates in any position, flickering torch lights guide the way into the park. Gates also play the original movie theme music and ambient jungle sounds. Comes with Ford Explorer number 5, the one that was left unscathed. Explorer, made for 3.75 inch scale figures, is 4.3 inches high, 4.4 inches wide, and 10.5 inches long. Action figure scale Explorer features rubber tires and enhanced design details. Includes film accurate hang tags, navigation screen, and antennas. And their final bullet point is only available through this crowdfund. A minimum of 5,000 backers are needed to start making this set come to life. With additional backers, everyone gets even more figures and accessories to recreate the excitement. At 5,000 backers, you unlock the Jurassic World motorized entrance gates, Ford Explorer number 5, post-electrocution Tim figure, and 2 enclosure fences. At 6,000 backers, we'll add the Hammond Collection Buck T-Rex featured in The Lost World Jurassic Park. At 8,000 backers, the set is complete with a Let's figure and goat with removable hind leg. This campaign ends July 26, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time. So join today and tell every Jurassic Park fan you know. Together, you can complete the ultimate collection. Copyright Universal Studios LLC and Amblin Entertainment Inc. All rights reserved. All right, let's see. Now, where do I start with all of this? Now, as far as the, no pun intended, main attraction itself is concerned, the Jurassic Park gates, I mean, looking at the pictures of the gates, don't get me wrong, it is absolutely gorgeous looking. It looks like, for the most part, a beautifully detailed 1/18 scale miniature. I like the fact that, you know, it does show the manual override bots near the actual gates itself. Considering that we do see Nedry manually use that override to open the gates to try to get to the dock. I do like the fact that detail is there. I do like that. Don't get me wrong, the overall size of this thing is nice. It helps. But, I mean, I would have been fine without the motorized function. I would have been fine without it playing the movie theme. And from what I remember from the video that demoed it, actually, from what I remember, I believe it actually butchered the original Jurassic Park theme. Like, it took one part of the theme and spliced it with another part of the theme. It was just jarring when you heard it. The other thing, the flickering lights, don't get me wrong, it's a nice touch. But as another one of my favorite channels has said, that's no reason, for, $1, $2 lights, to buy $1, $2 lights to, suddenly make it an extra $100 for no reason. I honestly think they could have just made a static basic gate that would have brought the price down drastically on it, and I think that would have actually helped. Now, the next part I am going to go on to is Ford Explorer 05. Now, looking at the pictures of the Explorer itself, for me personally, that would have been the selling point for me, was Ford Explorer 05. I mean, the pictures of it, the interior is very well detailed. I mean, it is impressively well detailed. I mean, the fact they also got the antennas on the mirrors, the fact they actually got the license plate, the correct license plate on the back of the Ford Explorer. It is a truly impressive piece. But as much as I love that, I have one problem with it. The Jurassic World Legacy Collection, which is exclusive to Target, they had a T-Rex set that got released in 2021, I believe it was. But that set include a T-Rex, Ford Explorer 04, and Tim. Now, for me, I would love to get this to put with that Explorer. There's a problem. They would not match. Detail-wise, they would be completely worlds apart. If I wanted to sound brutal about it, it would honestly be like comparing a masterpiece display, a masterpiece model to like a Happy Meal toy. That is how far apart the details are on the Legacy Collection 04 Explorer and the 05 Explorer that was available through this crowdfund. As far as I am concerned, if they had just released this as part of the Hammond Collection, which if they do at some point, I will not be surprised in the least, to try and at least save this mold. But, I mean, I don't know what else I can really say about that. For me, this Explorer was honestly the best part of this entire crowdfund. It really was. Now, the next part of it I'm going to bring up. The funny thing is, in the beginning of this crowdfund, this was originally its own separate tier. Matter of fact, this is the one that was at the 6,000 backer level. But about a week and a half, 2 weeks from the end of the campaign for it, they decided to make it as part of the base offering to try and entice backers. But electrified Tim Murphy with electrified fences. Now, the fences, I like the fences. The blinking lights is a nice touch. Well, have I been fine without those blinking lights? Yes. The Tim, I got mixed feelings about that Tim. Number one, considering the dates themselves are Hammond Collection, the Explorer was Hammond Collection. The next item after this one we're talking about is Hammond Collection. Tim does not look like he's part of the Hammond Collection. If anything, he honestly just looks like a base Legacy Collection figure that they just swapped a different head on. I mean, he looks like he has the exact same level of articulation. Matter of fact, when you look at the Explorer, when you look at the Gate, this version of Tim doesn't even go with that theme. Does not even go as part of that set. Which I would say the Explorer, the Gate, would be from the first, maybe first third of the movie. This is from like the last quarter of the movie. So that is one part of where this particular area failed for me. Now the next one that's up, that was on the tier list. I think this one was originally, I think, the 8,000 backer level. I'd have to double check on that. But the last 2 weeks out, it was made as the first unlockable tier at 6,000. Was a Hammond Collection Buck T-Rex from the Lost World. Now, this is one that I have heard a lot of mixed things about on various Jurassic Park groups I'm in. I have heard some people talk about how this looks like the Buck Rex from the Lost World. I've heard a lot of people say, you know, there's these features about it that don't make it look anything like the Buck Rex from the movie. But whether it's accurate to the Buck Rex or not, I personally do not care. Why is it part of the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary? This is supposed to be for Jurassic Park, not the Lost World. If you want me to give you my honest opinion, what I think they should have replaced it with instead should have been a Hammond Collection Ford Explorer 04. That way you would have both Explorers with the same level of attention to detail. That way you would have a matching set. That way you could display them getting ready to go through the gates into the park. That one should have been easy.
You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it.
And the last one that was the unlockable tier. Originally, I think it was 10,000 backers. It then got moved to 8,000 backers. Was Lex Murphy with the goat. This one's a two-parter. Now, let me start off with the Lex figure itself. The Lex figure itself, it honestly looks like a Legacy Collection figure. It does not have the same level of articulation that a Hammond Collection figure would have. And before anyone out there says it, before you say, oh, they're smaller characters, they wouldn't be able to work in the articulation for the elbows and the other parts of the body to make them, fully articulated. BS. I have seen articulation in figures that small. There is no excuse why this looks like a Legacy Collection figure if all the rest of this is supposed to be Hammond Collection. There is no excuse for it. And on top of that, this particular Lex is a mismatch. It is a literal mismatch. For starters, she has the cap, which is nice. I like that. As from where we first see Lex in the movie. But, and I mean but, why are her shoes muddy? Her shoes do not get muddy until the T-Rex panic attack. And by that time, she has lost the hat. She does not have the hat right before the T-Rex attacks. Before the T-Rex breaks out of the paddock. So, for me, that Let's is a fail. I hate to say it, but that Let's was a fail. Now, as far as the goat is concerned, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it why they include the goat. It's so you can recreate that infamous, where's the goat? And then all of a sudden, goat laid on top of the roof.
Where's the goat?
And the fact they add that detail into it is, I would say creepy, but I personally think it's a bit of a nice touch. But number one, why do you have it on Ford Explorer 05? And number two, why do you have it on the windshield and not on the sunroof, which is where it fell? And on top of that, I'd have to double check on the goat, but it looks like it would be accurate to the one they used. But other than that, it's just a basic goat. I mean, honestly, I don't see why that goat should have been any special as far as, hey, we know the gate's 5,000 backers, but we need 3,000 more so you can have a goat to go with it.
I really hate that man.
And something else I want to bring up about that. Let's see. I have one more point about it I will bring up, but other than that, I am pretty much done with their page. Here's the other thing that I have an issue with. I know it sounds like I'm ranting, which I am. I don't care. I'm a Jurassic Park fan. I am going to tell you what I like and don't like about this. Now, here's my question. Who thought it was a good idea to not only have Tim and Lex, both of these characters, they give you different versions of them from different parts of the movie. They don't give you a matching set of them from like the same time in the movie. I mean, you got one that's from like 3/4 of the way into the movie, and you have one that's a mix between a third of the way into the movie and halfway into the movie. It does not match. What they should have done is they should have gave the versions of Tim and Lex like the first time we see them. Like when they first see their grandpa, John Hammond. Because honestly, Lex with her baseball cap like that, no muddy shoes, I would have been fine with that. Tim, as we first see him in the movie, maybe with a dinosaur book as his accessory, I would have been perfectly cool with. But the simple fact they give us not only two completely different versions of these characters, not only do they make one of them completely mismatch from different scenes, but what I find as the final insult to this, I mean the final insult to this, is the fact that at first Tim and Lex were on separate unlockable tiers. Then they make Tim part of the base offering you get with it, but they still make Lex the final tier to be unlocked. I mean, here's my question. What if it did get backed? What if it didn't get to that magic 8,000 backings? You would have an electrocuted Tim. You wouldn't have a Lex. You would have been separating these two characters. Because, let's face it, in the movie, other than when Tim is stuck in the car, in the tree, Tim and Lex are never once separated at all in the movie. But yet, Mattel decides that these two characters need to be split up just to gain some extra dough.
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it.
And something else I also read, something I noticed, rather, as I was reading the page, there was something they actually completely omitted from it. During the first couple of weeks this page was up, one of the ways that they enticed people to back this was that if it was if it was funded to the minimum of 5,000 backers by, and I can't remember what the date is off the top of my head, I will put the date right down here on the bottom of the screen, that one of the bonuses that everyone would get would be a series of 6 paddock signs that had the different species of dinosaurs that you would have seen on the tour. So you would have had signs for Tyrannosaurus Rex, Triceratops, Dilophosaurus. I'm trying to remember some of the others. There was even one for Velociraptor. But the fact that those were made as an incentive to make you back this before a certain date, otherwise, after the date, you were not guaranteed to get it, was another reason why this crowdfund failed. And on top of that, let's be honest, these patent signs that they were offering was something that anyone with a 3D printer can just print off. And frankly, those reasons right there, as far as I am concerned, is why this particular crowdfund failed. It's a simple fact that Mattel was banking on this crowdfund to just fund itself because of people's nostalgia for this movie, because it's the 30th anniversary of this classic, wonderful movie. And they thought, oh, we're just going to, entice people with a bunch of different stuff. And, they're just going to throw their money at it. They're not going to think twice about it. No.
You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
fans saw what was up to offer. But I'm sorry, the fans are too smart to fall for stupid stuff like this. And as far as I am concerned, the fans have spoken on this. They said, we don't want this. We don't want what you're offering. What we want you to do is offer us something we actually do want. And on top of that, you had this way overpriced. It was overpriced. It was mismatched. And overall, it just flat out, I hate to say it leaned more towards suck. But, I mean, that is my honest take as far as why this particular crowdfund failed. If you have your own thoughts as to why this crowdfund failed, you're more than welcome to tell me in the comments section right below this video. If you've stayed with me to this long, I do appreciate you listening to my thoughts, hearing me ramble. And with that being said, thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video.